This is Bruce Djite, Director of Football at Adelaide United Football Club, and you're watching Legends with Bevo.
Welcome to Legends with Bevo, thanks to Anytime Fitness Glenelg.
The great Bruce Djite, great to have you on Legends with Bevo for a chat, mate. It's all happening at the moment at the Reds, unfortunately for all the wrong reasons, with one of our marquee players, James Troisi, leaving the club within the last couple of days, obviously 2 weeks prior to the season kicking off. Not ideal, mate. What's been happening? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it's obviously not ideal, but, we got an email on the weekend from his father saying that he requested a termination of his contract in September originally, when we didn't know what the distribution would be from the Football Federation to the clubs, when we still had a full roster of players. We hadn't done any business in the transfer market. So, Riley McGree, Paul Izzo, Nikola Mileušnić, Lachlan Brook, players that have since been sold overseas or departed to overseas. They were all still on our books. So, we made the financial decision that we need to let the more expensive players, James being one of them, give them the opportunity to speak to other clubs, because quite frankly, we just couldn't afford to keep those players. I did a radio interview yesterday, KG and Wildy, and, they were like, well, maybe it didn't feel like it was wanted. But, my rebuttal to that is, it's a COVID world. The distribution ended up going from 3.2 odd million to 1.7 odd million. There's industries the world over making difficult financial decisions. This was a difficult financial decision for us, but the Qantas pilots are just as good as they've always been. If there's no planes to fly, then it's very hard to meaningfully employ them. All the AFL clubs that are making redundancies en masse isn't because their staff are no longer any good, but there's some financial implications that COVID has caused certain industries that have made tough decisions. You have to make tough decisions. So telling James that he was free to speak to other clubs was one of those difficult financial decisions. But very soon after that meeting and discussion, we sold Riley, we sold Lachlan Brook, Nikola Mileušnić went to Denmark, and we sold Paul Izzo. So very quickly our financial situation changed. And especially without Riley, it was made clear to James in October that he was an important member of the team. We were going to bring in reinforcements, as we have done with a host of players, including Tommy Juric and Harvey Lopez, and that he was a required player, important player. He would be playing as number 10. Last season, he was deployed as the number 8 most games, because Riley was certainly our most impactful player in that number 10 position. So things changed relatively quickly. It was made very clear to James in October that was the case. He was happy to hear that. Carl had numerous discussions with him about the way he wants him to play this season, his importance in the group. James was happy with that. He was training well. He was performing well. So for then 2 weeks out from the season to get an email saying he wants to terminate his contract was extremely disappointing, as I've said in numerous interviews. And, the fact is, last week when there were a few articles about Wanderers' interest in him, I spoke to James directly and he said, those articles are fabricated, there's no truth to them. So to then get that email on the weekend was extremely disappointing.
Yeah, you've answered it really well, Bruce, and I can see why, previously he was looking elsewhere, but like you said, you actually explained it to him that he's a wanted player, and we understand with the whole COVID situation that, the money cap salary cap's been cut dramatically this year or for this coming season.
Yes.
Yeah, it does sound very bizarre. Was there any bad blood between James and the club? Because to just come out and just leave like that, it just seems like such a weird situation.
Yeah, it does. Look, it took us by, was certainly not what we were expecting. You know, I did an interview this morning and I was explaining on that program that if the discussions throughout October and November, when we were saying that he's a required player and he's an important player for the team, if the discussion was, you know, from him that, you know what, I actually felt really disappointed and upset when I was told I was able to speak to other clubs. I felt unwanted, you know, I'm not particularly happy, etc. Then it's a different thing, because then you expect him to perhaps make a move. But that wasn't the basis of any of the discussions. All his discussions with Carl were very positive. He was keen to be a part of the team, etc., etc., etc. So it's that has taken everyone by surprise, in the sense that you know, he was training well, he was playing well, he was, you know, saying all the right things, and we expect him to stay for the season. So, bit of a U-turn, and the timing just not ideal.
Are you disappointed in the Western Sydney Wanderers as well for getting involved in this?
Well, look, we emailed the Western Sydney Wanderers 6 to 8 weeks ago. I can't recall exactly when, because they did inquire about him formally. You know, they sent an email. We'd like to speak to James. You know, are we? You know, is he a required player or not? You know, he's coming to us saying he's free to speak to other clubs. We went back to Western Sydney Wanderers and said, he's a required player. We'd appreciate if you didn't approach the player. You know. So that obviously hasn't been the case. And, you know, I've tried to contact them and haven't heard back from them. So I look forward to seeing them at the next game.
Yeah, bring that on when we play them. That's going to be awesome. It's almost going to be like the old Melbourne Victory versus Adelaide days. Hey, Bruce.
It'll add a bit of spice to the clash, that's for sure.
Hey, in the meantime, though, obviously the season starts in a couple of weeks, like you mentioned before. Have we started looking for a replacement yet?
Yeah, we've started looking for a replacement immediately. So those discussions are ongoing, and we'll keep looking for a replacement. It's not easy to find, and not just difficult to find, but also it's difficult to get people into the country.
Yeah.
So challenges abound, but you know, that's our job, and you know, it's not just me scrambling for players. I mean, there's a whole host of people in that office that are working very hard to find a replacement and to put the right process in to make sure that whoever that replacement is can get into Australia.
And let's talk about your role as football director of Adelaide United. Congratulations on that, mate. You're doing a wonderful job. What a year, though, to start with all the challenges we've had this year with COVID.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting year, but, you know, that's the best way to learn. Challenging times. People show their true colours in challenging times. And, you know, you learn the most through challenging times. You know, people talk about content and context knowledge. I mean, you know, there's no book, no content you could have read that would have prepared anyone in leadership positions for the challenges that COVID has presented. You know, having the experience of going through it, getting through it, and still dealing with it on a day-to-day basis is fantastic experience, and will help a lot of organisations and a lot of individuals improve themselves and you know, be able to better handle and be more experienced in handling these sorts of situations. And if you can handle the difficult situations, then it makes the more simple situations easier to handle as well.
And it's very exciting this year because we've got Carl Veart as the coach, a former legend player himself as well, like you. And then obviously we've got Ross Aloisi involved and also Tommy Juric. So it's a bit of an old school situation there with all these guys coming back to the club, which is super exciting, Bruce.
Yeah, super exciting. So it's the culture we're trying to build. It's very South Australian focused. Doesn't mean we won't look overseas for players. It doesn't mean that our team will be 100% South Australian, but you know, I'm very proud with the coaching staff, the playing group, and you know, the direction the club's going. I think it's the best way to remain sustainable. It's the best way to engage with fans, and that's what we plan on doing. And you know, it's one thing to bring success on the pitch, it's also important for us to be successful off the pitch. So it's important to find that balance. It's important to have experienced players. It's important to promote youth. So we've got to find the balance on a lot of these things. But I think we're certainly putting down some good foundations that will hold us in good stead and put us on a good path for sustainable growth.
And as fans for the coming season, what have we got to look forward to, Bruce? Tell us the kind of game plan we're going to be playing.
That's probably a question best reserved for the coach, but on a broader answer, well, I'm not going to tell you who's going to play where and what they're going to be doing, but we're there to play exciting football, and we've got a team of young, exciting, attacking players, solid defence. We've increased the depth in our defence. So we should be able to find a good balance between playing exciting, entertaining football with a lot of goals, as well as having a strong defence that should mitigate counter attacks and any risks that are posed from playing an attacking brand of football.
And you're obviously one of the club legends, the highest goal scoring player for the Adelaide United side with 44 during your career. Talk us through the Bruce Djite story there, mate. How did you end up playing for Adelaide United, then obviously going on to play overseas and representing your country as well?
Well, that's a long story, but in summation, I was at the AIS and John Cosmina came over to watch a few games. I'm not sure if we were playing New Zealand or Japan. There was a little round robin at the time. And he asked myself and Nathan Burns to come on trial. He ended up picking Nathan Burns, but back then there was injury replacement players where you could come for 4 weeks at least till the squad player was recovered, and then you had to go back. So I was back and forth between Adelaide and the AIS for multiple months. Eventually, if you keep banging on the door, knocking on the door, someone's going to give you a contract. And I was lucky enough to end up getting a contract and played here for a couple of years and then moved on to Turkey. Obviously, played there for a few years. Was part of the Socceroo setup for those few years also. Came back to the Gold Coast, played for a year. My initial idea was to come back to Adelaide, obviously, but Nick Bianco just handed back the licence at that time. It was a difficult time for the club. So I went to Gold Coast for a year, then came back to Adelaide, stayed here for an extended period, went to China on loan in between when the A-League season shifted, but stayed in Adelaide for an extended period till we won the Premiership and Championship double. Also won an FA Cup on that journey, and then went off to South Korea for a couple of years and Indonesia to wrap it all up. And I'm very privileged and lucky to be in this role as football director of the club I truly love. So that's the summary, brief one. That's my story in my footballing story in a nutshell. Anyway,
you've answered it very well. And let's talk about the 2015-16 season, because what a season it was. Obviously, not off to the great starts under Amor, but then just incredible scenes. Seeing 50,000 plus people at the Adelaide Oval back in 2016, and seeing Adelaide United win their first ever championship. What a thrill that must have been, Bruce. And talk to us through how you guys did it.
Oh, look, it was just it was a momentum thing. When we were in a rut, we got worse and worse and worse and worse, and all of a sudden, we pulled ourselves out of that, quicksand, if you like, and once we're on the up, we just kept going up and up and up and up. It was a season, obviously, of ups and downs. We had a very calm coach, which I think got us over the line at the crucial point. And the pressure was on, and everyone was amped up. Guillermo was always the calming influence. He'd been there, he'd done it on the biggest stages in the world. Nothing flustered him, and nothing was a surprise to him. He was very calm, very relaxed, great coach, and really steered us to success. But it was a great group, a great team. Through the darkest moments in those early rounds when nothing was working for us, no one turned on each other. There was no bickering. There was no people just giving up and not pulling their weight. Everyone was trying hard. I mean, we probably tried harder earlier on in the season than what we were doing at the back end when everything was happening automatically for us. So, you know, it was a really tight-knit group, really good group, fantastic coaching staff as well. And we were a bit lucky as well. But you need a bit of luck if you're going to win championships. And, you know, we worked extremely hard and had a very, very talented squad at that time. Talented squad of individuals and fantastic camaraderie and a great team.
Yeah, I still remember being there, and it was just unbelievable, the scenes, you know, seeing us win the championship. And like I mentioned before, the atmosphere as well was just something that's out of this world, Bruce. So being a player, being a part of it would have been unreal, no doubt. Before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you a couple of quick ones. The best player that you've ever played with and against?
Very hard. You know, obviously Harry Kuehl was fantastic. Mark Viduka was unreal. Like, he was just so much better than anything. We've got no one close to him, you know, since he's come. You know, like, it was that good. Played against. There were two games. There's two games that really stand out for me. One was a Socceroos game against Holland in Holland. I think I played the last 20, 30 minutes. They were at a very high level, obviously, the Dutch team. And another one was when we played Mexico Olympic team in Los Angeles for the Socceroos. They were a really top team. Like, that game was so hard. Like, they were just so good. They're the two that come top of mine. And, you know, obviously, we played, you know, in Turkey there was the Galatasarays and the Fenerbahces that obviously had squads full of top talent. You know, Ange Postacoglu's Brisbane Roar, very hard to play against them. So yeah, across the spectrum, there's been some pretty good teams I've played against in terms of individual players. Del Pierre, who played for Victory, and Zvansvijk, who played for Mariners, here in Australia, were formidable defenders. Like, I never enjoyed coming up against them. Obviously, internationally, I'd definitely say that, you know, Lucas Neal was a fantastic defender. Didn't want to come up against him in training, that's for sure. So yeah, there's an array of talented players and teams that I've played with or against.
And finally, I'll let you go in a moment. Just finishing with this one, 3 famous people that you'd love to have dinner with, Bruce, whether they be alive or dead.
Oh, questions are always hard. Look, I would say Cristiano Ronaldo. I would say Barack Obama. And I would say Natasha Stott-Despoja.
That's a random one to finish with. I like it. You've answered it very well.
Throw that one in there.
Hey, Bruce, thank you so much for coming on for a chat on Legends with Bevo today. I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's a tough time at the moment that you're going through, but you're doing a wonderful job yourself and the team, and we look forward to the season starting in a couple of weeks' time and go the Reds.
Sounds so good.